What's up, people? It's your boy Riley Escobar holding it down for y'all once again. And y'all are tuning into the Just Send It podcast, the podcast created to change perspectives, explore new concepts and themes while still capturing that timeless conversational appeal that will leave you rushing back for more. So, this is episode 3, and let's get into it. So, as of September the 12th, has been 10 years since I first started cooking. And I just got to say, I'm sick of this shit, yo. This is not it. Like, this is not it, fam. And like, we won't get into that. So, without further ado, cue intro, please. What's good, fam? You alright, man? You chilling, man? Yeah, yo, I'm good, yo. I'm good, yo. You know, Gucci, you know, out here maintaining, trying to do my thing, yo. It's good to know, man. What's good, fam? You good? Yeah, I'm good, yo. You know, try and flood the streets or whatever. You know how we do, man. We just try, we try to elevate. You know, briefcase state of mind, you know. So normally, like in my day-to-day life, I typically don't tell people I'm a chef. Like when I'm talking to like new people on Facebook, when I meet people in public, I really don't typically tell people that like, I went to culinary school and I'm a chef. Um, because they typically ask the same typical questions that they normally ask people, ask chefs like, "Oh, you must cook a lot at home," or when are you going to cook for me?" Or can you bring something to the potluck or to the church or to the barbecue? And like my responses for this is always like no, no, and no. Like no, I don't cook at home. No, I can't cook you nothing. And like no, I'm not bringing nothing to the potluck or barbecue or to the church. The only thing I probably bring is a bag of ice, and like that's it. And a lot of times they're like, well, why you don't cook at home, or why you don't do such and such. I don't do the cooking at the house. My foster mother, my grandmother, and them, they are like the primary chefs and cooks at the house. I know it sounds crazy, but it is what it is. I cook every now and then, but they are the primary chefs and cooks at the house. I'll do any other prep, any other garbage, any other washing dishes, stuff like that. I'll do that for sure. But like when I get my own house of my own and my own family, okay, yeah, I'll step up and be the chef of the cribbo. But until then, I let them do that thing. I enjoy that cooking while I have the chance. So you might as well. But they do appreciate it when I do cook. The times that I do feel the need to like go in there and prepare something. But let's talk about it. So normally when people go out to eat, right? They normally like, okay, they walk into the restaurant, they get seated. Then the hostess or the server normally come over to them, hey guys, how y'all been doing? Y'all doing welcome to Blase Blase, welcome to the Just Send It restaurant. And what can I get y'all to drink? Right. So people typically order their drinks. They always like, do you want me to put an app in for you? Give me the tater tots or give me the crappy fries. Put the apps in. All right, guys, I'm gonna go put these apps in real quick and I'll be right back for your entree. They go put them into the machine, come back, right? They bring you your drinks, bring you your app. I'm like, what do y'all guys want? Did you finally figure it out? Oh, you gonna get the chicken tenders and fries, and you want to get a burger medium? Well, not medium, more like well done. You gonna get a burger well done? Okay, cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna put those in for you guys. Okay, and then only go over there, put it in. Then they y'all come back, they y'all get your entree. Y'all eat your entree. Man, that joint was good. I liked it. Can I bring out any sauce or anything? Give me some sauce, give me some more fries. Let me get some more napkins, refill my drinks. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I appreciate that. And then at the end, it's typically like, oh, can I get y'all a dessert or something like that? People typically skip the dessert. Like if it ain't nothing fire on it, they only, and it'd be a lot of fire stuff for the dessert. Like the bread pudding be hitting sometimes. Those the molten lava cakes be hitting, the cheesecakes be hitting, but typically a lot of times people just skip the dessert. No, I'm good on the dessert, and bounce. So total time spent in the restaurant, maybe like 2 hours, right? 2 hours, cool. Then y'all bounce. However, like a chef experienced this whole situation like totally different, right? So let's talk about that, right? So we're gonna talk about Chef Twan. We're gonna talk about me, right? So I've been cooking in restaurants since like September 2011. I was like 19 when I first started cooking, and at the time, I kind of thought that I wanted to be a head chef. I was like, you know, I want to be a head chef, open my own restaurant, start my own business, and etc. Right. So that's what I thought at first. So I always used to cook at home back then. Like as a teen, I always used to cook at home. In high school, I always planned on cooking. Ever since about like eighth grade, I planned on being like a chef or a cook. I realized that that was an actual career, and I decided, like, you know what, that's what I want to do. And I always was motivated and driven towards that. My first year cooking, which was like in my senior year of high school, I was just an AM prep cook, and I just tried to stay out my way. I did whatever the chef, dishwasher, line cooks, managers told me to do. I was just happy to have a job in the restaurant, making 850 at the time. And to me back then, I was like, oh, that's a lot of money. So I was like, I was cool and I was content with doing that. Um, then, right, then by like the time that a year passed, right? Once 2012 hit, I actually entered culinary school for the first time, right? So it was cool. It was my second year cooking and my first year, like my first semester going into culinary school. So like around this time, my easy peasy like AM prep job that I had, like the prep role that I had, it kind of changed because like the head chef at the restaurant, he left the restaurant. So several changes kind of happened around this point. You know, they moved some of the veteran cooks up to be co kitchen managers and etc. And like the easy peasy like prep work that I was doing in the beginning, just strictly prep, kind of changed. I went from just prepping in the morning to now prepping and also working the line in the morning. And like a lot of chefs will tell you, like that first time working the line, people don't really train you properly. They just throw you in there. So I was kind of like thrown in on the cold side in the AM, and I wound up dying. Like I wound up dying and going down off of four checks. And I specifically remember it was the Caesar wraps and the buffalo chicken wraps that kind of did me in. Like, I didn't know how to, like, put all the product in there and then wrap them properly and seal them properly that they won't just fall apart. So, I wound up going down on, like, 4 checks and, mostly buffalo chicken wraps. And the chef, like, the line cook chef at the time, Ed, who was soon to be the new, like, co-kitchen manager of the place, he pulled me aside, and he, like, taught me the ropes. He was like "1, Twan, when you come in here, you know, check everything." Like check all the boxes, check everything on your station to make sure you have it. Uh, everything. Like the weird obscure stuff that we typically don't use, I need you to check that. We had this olive tapenade that we use for one sandwich on there. He said check everything, even this, right? Cool. And that's something that like always stuck with me. He showed me how to like wrap the Caesar wraps and stuff properly so like they won't just bust open on me. Um and like I start to hold my own a little bit better, but he was like the first like teacher that I had, right? My, I call him Grandmaster, you know, and I'll tell you about, you know, Grandmaster and the idea behind that a little bit later. But like he was the first Grandmaster I had uh in the restaurant, but I didn't know it at the time, right? So my restaurant work experience and culinary school experience is like two different. It's like two sides of the same coin, like two different sides from the same coin. So like shortly after, like he trained me and he showed me how to hold my own in the morning. My schedule switched, and I went from just strictly working like a weekend schedule while I was in school during the week. So I didn't get a chance to really see Chef Ed for like 2 years. Like I always knew that he was working and he was doing his thing on the AM and during the week, but like we never worked the same shift. I heard about him, I seen him every now and then, never worked the same shift. So I was working with another chef at the time, chef line cook. His name was Fred, and like he showed me the aspect of teamwork. Like he really taught me a lot and showed me a lot. But that teamwork was the biggest thing that he kind of showed me. Um, and like I took that teamwork aspect back to culinary school each semester, you know. Um, but soon, like even Chef Fred, like Fred will eventually like leave cooking to do something else. He was doing HVAC like technician on the side, and like somebody came to one of his HVAC class, heard about him, and like gave him the job. So he wound up leaving the restaurant cooking game to do HVAC, making a killing. And he's still successful at it right now. But like he taught me teamwork. We'll come in. He said, "This is all the prep items I'm gonna do. I need you to do the other half of it." And like we both like knocked it out. Had all our prep stacked up on the back table, and we was good to go. But like once he left, um, I was partnered with another chef, and this was the other kitchen manager named Sean, aka Lucius, and he was the guy who called himself a grandmaster. He said, "Yo, I'm like a grandmaster at this, right?" So that's why I got the term like grandmaster. And he said, "Since you work under me, you work with me, you like the grandmaster's apprentice." Right. And I gotta tell you, like Lucius was like totally different from any of the other chefs that I worked with up to this point. Like he was like very like boastful, very cocky, very arrogant, but like he knew how to cook at a very high level, right? So like, and then he also will like had this like witty sense of humor. Like he'll make fun of me. A lot of times he left me in the kitchen like solo by myself for hours, going on smoke breaks, doing whatever he did, right? Like he did that a lot. And I like when I tell you I hated working with him, like I really like hated working with him. He often told me like Twan, you either gonna like get down or you gonna lay down. And if you lay down, you stay down, right? So I'm looking like, dang, he always did the Benny Siegel thing to me. But like working with Lucius was like the hardest like time I ever had working in like culinary whatsoever. It was like had to be the hardest moment I ever had to do like in my life, right? But even like Lucius like would eventually like move on from cooking to do like other things. Like I think he just got exhausted with the whole idea of cooking, the chef life. He kind of got exhausted with it, and he moved on to other things. And he flourished in other things. His family was good, made more money and stuff like that. Still had a passion for cooking, and came back temporarily, but like he didn't want to do cooking no more, and I understand why. And we'll get into that, right? So it wasn't until years later, right? It wasn't until years later that I really appreciated what Lucius had done for me. Because if he didn't give me that tough culinary experience and the way that he like he led and he trained, like it wouldn't have helped me grow as much as like a culinarian and a leader, right? So he showed me a lot of like of the flaws, but he also showed me a lot of like ways to actually cook and prepare food properly and that food that tastes good. And like the way that I currently do my omelets now, like the technique I use to cook my omelets, I still do to this day. And like some of the dishes that he showed me his pesto chicken pasta style. Like that's a dish that I still use if I have to like come up with a special in the restaurant. I would do something like that and kind of like tweak it. Or like some of the soups that he made. He got this killer black and chicken chowder soup that he make. He got this killer cream of crab soup that he make, and he do it his unique way. But like I still added those stuff that he taught me into my repertoire, right? But he taught me a lot. Like I hated working with him, but like looking back, I was like, dang, like he really held it down for sure. And then the last chef I worked with at that spot that I was at um was was a new kitchen manager, like a guy who was new to the leadership kitchen manager thing, and that was Shabazz, and he was like, AKA, Mister, I got to get the food out, or Mister Cut Corners. And when I tell you, he knew how to cut corners, like he knew how to cut corners. He was kind of like making a transition from being like a line cook and thinking from a line cook like lower perspective to like, okay, now I am the co-kitchen manager, like a boss. I'm like a leader in this game, and I gotta like switch up my tempo. I can't just do anything, cook anything anyway. So like he working with him was very interesting. The kitchen was so lively, working under Shabazz, like for sure. But his leadership's like style, man, I gotta say that joint broke me. Like, and that would wind up causing me to like leave the job for another job, because it was like, man, I worked with Shabazz for like 2 years, and like, man, like it just always was something, boy. It was always was something. So like when I wound up leaving, right? I wound up putting my notice in. I told Chef Ed, Shabazz, and now like I appreciate what y'all did for me, but I'm gonna go do my own thing. You feel me? I want to move up, do something at another restaurant for sure. And like they was cool with it. They was cool with it. Everybody appreciated me, showed me love. They was like my family. And that's what one thing about cooking is a lot of the people that you work with are like family, especially in the back of the house. They're like family. So after that, I went to this restaurant called Palio. It was a new restaurant. It was a total new experience, right? And going in, I wasn't 100% sure of my abilities as a chef. Like in culinary school, I wasn't at the top of my class. I probably was like at the middle of my class in terms of skill and creativity. And then like at Alonzo, like the first restaurant I worked with, I was cool. Like I was cool as a chef, but I really didn't know, where I stood at, right? So going into Polio, I was unsure about my abilities as like a chef, right? So like in the beginning of like opening a new restaurant, it was tons of chefs. It was male chef, lady chef, young, old, like of all different ages. We had like four different sous chefs. And it was crazy. Everybody was teaching you in their own different style and stuff like that, was telling you different ways of doing it. And they was still trying to figure out that system, right? But like I guess like I soaked in all the game that like Ed and the fellas at Alonzo's kind of taught me, right? And when I came there, I build, I researched the menu of everything on it, and I kind of like seen like the perfect path to like to prepare each item like by yourself, and like the perfect path to like and systems to kind of like prepare each item if it's like a busy night or rush. So like the pizza and pantry station that I was working, like I came up with the system for that, put all the food in the right places. When the check come in, I'll call the check, this is how we gonna come together and we meet at the pass. Like we put all our food at the pass and we keep it pushing. So I really like organized the station and made the station my own. And then during my downtime, during my downtime, I kind of like walked around the restaurant and like I looked at what other people was doing on that station. Look what they was doing on the grill station. Look what they was doing on the pasta station. Look what they was doing in the cafe and the dessert station. Slowly just soaking it in and learning it, because I know like in restaurants you don't really get the training at times. They just throw you on that station and they expect you to like to get it. Get it in a few days, get it in a week, and like you should be solid at it, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn each station and what it takes to make each dish on my own. So when the opportunity comes, and the opportunity always comes, somebody always call out, and it comes, you'll be ready. So at that restaurant, it was kind of crazy, right? The head chef quit like 2 months in. Um, we lost two sous chefs 3 weeks into the restaurant. We lost a GM 5 months in. Like it was madness. Like the job was just unorganized. But like anything that I put my hand on and I touched and I was involved with, like it was straight. It was good. Uh I just created the system around me because I'm used to that structure. And like things worked. The pizza and pantry, it was going well. I set up the system there. I had the prep down. I had like the prep, what quantities I need to make for what days. I had that down. And like I just kept it moving. And I thought like, and also during that time, I kind of like build relationships with the other cooks and chefs that came in. Like they shared their duties with me, what they did on saute. In the last podcast episode, Mega, he was actually like the pasta saute cook. So he shared his dishes and his duties with me, the grill, the pastries. I just learned each station by watching and asking. And like so here, right? I was like, man, like I gotta be one of the best cooks here, right? In terms of my knowledge and my system and everything. So I was like, dang, you know what? Um, when the time comes, I want to be the sous chef here. Like I would like to be a sous chef here. I know the system. I know what it takes to get it, get it going, and maybe it being successful. And I already was pulling like 50-hour weeks already as a line cook. Like here. So I was like, you know what? It'll be just perfect just to make me salary, make me salary and make me the sous chef. Like I was like the most reliable person there. I always had that. I always was prepared. I always was reliable. The chef called, "Can you come in?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can come in. I can be anywhere in Baltimore, and I'll be there in 45 minutes. Don't call nobody else. I'm on my way." Right. But like when the time came to like decide who was gonna be the sous chef there, right? I actually said something like, yeah, I was like, yo, I'll be interested in being the sous chef and stuff like that. They wound up passing on me. And they probably passed on me because like maybe it was like my behavior. I was very, happy go lucky because it was like it wasn't really work to me compared to like working with Lucius and Shabazz and Ed at like Alonzo's. It was easy. I had the system panned out. I worked hard 2 days a week on the prep tip, and the other days like I just coasted through. So I had a system, but it was effective, it was efficient. But I think like the managers kind of seen it like, oh, like he's not really doing much. He's lazy. He only chilling. He only chatting. You know, he's not the one for the job. So I was like, okay, cool. But I still did my job as a line cook. Supported the new chef Juan G, who was my man. Shout out to Juan G. Uh, and his roles as a sous chef. Helped out the chef, of course. Always coming in. Me and the chef actually work hand in hand and side by side every morning. Like my duties changed so much from just, okay, we just need you to hold down the night. You're the best cook to work the pantry and stuff like that at night. We need you to hold down the night to, okay, you're the best prep that we have. Like we need you to hold down the morning and AM chef. We need you to set the whole restaurant up and get it ready. Right. So like I always was like kind of like the heart of the line because I always did things with the greatest of ease, and people already knew like, okay, this is the bar, this is the what is expected of us, this is the job, we got to get it done, right? But eventually, like the restaurant will close, went out of business. They came down from up top and it was like, you know what, we gotta close it. So now I'm at my next restaurant, and this is kind of different from my next cooking job, and this is kind of different from the other two. The other two was restaurants. This is like a institutional kitchen, right? Like in a school or a business center. So it's kind of different, right? You just cooking for one group of people. And the type of cooking is not the same as the restaurant cooking. Like it's a lot simpler. It's just like, sandwiches, subs, burgers, fries. It's not complicated and intricate like making pan sauces, making masalas, making veal picatas, making like chicken palm pastas, making pescatories. It's not as complicated as that. But like the people at my current job, right? The chefs at my current job, they missing something. Like they missing that spark that like restaurant chefs have. It's that sense of like haste, that sense of we gotta hurry up and get this done, like that giddy up. They kind of missing that, and they also missing the idea of like teamwork. Like, you know what, I got your back, bro. You got my back. You gotta have each other's back in the restaurant setting, like because you can't do it all. And that camaraderie, that fun side, that teamwork side, that's trust, the stuff that is necessary to be successful, like in cooking, like they kind of like missing that here at my current job, and I'm trying to bring that. But that's kind of like where I'm at as a culinarian and a chef. But let's actually get into like the 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 topic, like okay, the curse of cooking, right? So or chef duties, right? So let's talk about a chef day, right? So it's two kinds of chefs. You got the AM chef and then you got the PM chef, right? So each chef duties differ depending on which one you are, of course. So let's talk about Chef A, the morning chef. So I was Chef A, the morning chef for like 4 to 8 years, right? So what you do, right? Let's go. So you get up in the morning and you go to work, right? So you either gotta work a solo shift, a double shift, or a solo shift that's gonna turn into a double shift either 2 hours into your shift or the last hour before your shift is over. Just part of the game, but in restaurants, that's what typically happens. So morning chefs duties typically it's just to open a restaurant. So you got to get there at 10 o'clock in the morning, 9, 8, or like my current job, 6:30 in the morning, right? And if you're lucky, when you get to the restaurant, like when you get to the restaurant, the kitchen, the head chef or the manager already have the door open when you arrive. So all you can do is just walk in the building, clock in, and get started. But isn't always the case. Like sometimes you get there and they're not there. They can be 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes out, running late, of course. So like this the first trap. This typically the first trap that you typically run into, right? Because now them being late is cutting into your production. So like boom, you finally get there, you get in the building, then you got to turn all the equipment on, right? Turning all the equipment on. This typically can be the second trap that you run into, right? Uh, because faulty equipment is a thing in restaurants. When things just want to like cog out, it happens. It cogs out. You may get there, the grill might not want to turn on, or the refrigerator probably like went down. So like it cut off in the middle of the night. So like your refrigerator, all the food in the boxes either gotta get thrown in the trash or like you might have to do something with it. Okay. The range might not work. Like the gas for the range might not work. So you can't put nothing on the stove top, or oven may not work or maybe broke. Or typically what happens from time to time is the computers go down. Like you can't ring nothing in, you can't clock in when you get there, the computers go down. So this is always like a booby trap when you come into work. But if you happen to get there and one of these two traps didn't happen, okay, cool. The first thing you typically do as an AM chef is you check your line. Like you check your station, you check your line. And it's typically like a drawer that you open up or like a refrigerator door you open up, you check it and you check everything in it. It can be from 15 to 30 pans in there that have product in it. As a AM chef, you check everything, make sure like it's of the right level. Like is a lot or is a good amount of product for your coming service, your coming morning service, lunch service. And this can be a booby trap, right? Because like a lot of times the chefs that close at night, if they didn't restock the station for you, your station could be empty. It could be a station filled with nothing but empty pans and like none underneath, like nothing in the refrigerators that so you gotta cut all the onions, all the tomatoes, all you gotta chop all the lettuce, make all the sauces, bring up all the cheese, like you gotta do everything. So this can be a huge booby trap, right? And like after this, right? After you check the line, if the line is in good condition, then it's like, okay, cool, you can move into the next step. But if the line is not in good condition, you got to put all your time and energy to setting the line up before uh the restaurant open, which probably opens in like an hour from the time that you get there, or 90 minutes before the time you get there, right? But let's say the line is straight as a chef. Cool. The guys looked out for you last night. The line is straight. You then move into the prep list. The prep list can be a very sticky situation, right? Because typically, right, uh, it's two, it's two, it's two sides of the prep list, right? Some people look at the prep list like, okay, the guys at night should make the prep list for the guys in the morning. So when you walk in the morning, you should be able to just grab on your station, grab the prep list, and go, right? And then the other side of that is like, okay, the guys in the morning should make the prep list and not the guys at night because y'all work the morning. So the guys in the morning come in the morning after you turn all that equipment and do everything I said already. You got to go run through every station, run downstairs in the big walk-in and freezer and check and make sure you have everything um, for lunch and dinner service, like already prepared, right? And that can be 50 to 100 items, right? It can be a lot of stuff, right? It can be sauces, it can be the proteins, it can be soups, it can be pizza dough, it can be, make sure cheese is grated. It can be a host of things, but it can be a lot, right? So like that's the two perspectives. Do the guys at night make the list or do the guys in the morning in charge of making the list? And my rule of thumb, right, is like regardless if the guys at night make the list or you make the list in the morning, always make the list and double check it. Because typically two things will happen. Either the list that they left for you isn't a real list. It's like I'm gonna hurry up and do this list so the chef know I made a list for the guys in the morning. So they put whatever on there. So it could be a fake list, I call them the fake prep list. Like, man, like what was they thinking? Or it can be a panic prep list where they put everything on there, like everything that's in the refrigerator, everything that's in the freezer. They put everything in everything that need to be prepped in the restaurant on the list. And if you just come in as an AM chef and just do the prep list, like just start working off the prep list, you could do stuff that's already done. Like you can prep items that's already done that you really don't even need right now. So like first rule of thumb is regardless is a list there or not, double check. And that's kind of what Chef Ed taught me. Double check it anyway to make sure like you're straight. Because like that can cause a huge crisis. You can spend an hour cooking ribs and you didn't need ribs. Or you can be spend an hour, making chicken parm pasta, chicken parms, and you didn't need chicken parms. You really needed New Mexican chili sauce. So like that's a huge important. The prep list is like a huge like booby trap for AM chefs. That's like the biggest thing that AM chefs have to face. And then we're at the point, right? The next step is the next thing that the AM chefs typically do is the service, right? So in the midst of doing those other steps, coming in, turning the equipment on, checking the line, writing a prep list, getting started with your prep, the restaurant is going to open, right? The restaurant is going to open and people want to come in and start ordering food, right? And like, this is always a tricky part for new chefs, right? Because it's like, okay, um, when I came in, I had to prioritize whether to start on the prep for the whole building or focus on the line, prepping the line, doing the line, get the line ready. Right now, the restaurant is open and people are ordering their food. So it's three things you got to prioritize. Should you be prioritizing cooking lunch and breakfast for people, doing the prep list, or setting up the line? Right. And like in the beginning, I had huge issues with this, and it will frustrate the hell out of you as a new chef and culinarian because it's like, which one I'm supposed to do? Like, if I don't, if I don't set the line up, the guys is going to complain at night. If I don't do the big prep, they ain't gonna have nothing to even get started. And if I don't uh serve the people in a timely manner, then they're gonna start complaining. So what do I need to do? And my rule of thumb is like, you know what? If service has started, prioritize cooking the people's food properly first. That's the most important thing. And then doing the prep, the bulk prep. That's the second thing you want to worry about. The line items, you can kind of save that towards the end of your AM shift. If you can't complete everything, when the guys come in for PM, just let them know the stuff that you couldn't complete, and they either will jump in and like, all right, I'll take care of that, or y'all both have to tag team it to get it done. But like that's the typically way I normally do things. But like the moment you start getting hit in the middle of your like lunch rush, the only issue is the lunch rush and just making sure that you don't burn any of the items that you're currently prepping because you're doing that stuff simultaneously at the same time. And sometimes you can't afford taking off 65-pound pot of marinara off the stove. You can't afford taking that off the stove and putting that on the side. Like sometimes you still gotta have that going. At the end of your rush, that marinara will be done or that soup will be done. Just make sure the bottom is not scorched and burned. Make sure you try to stir it every now and then. Chef Shabazz, right? He always will put it on scare tactics. He'll turn the oven down or turn the flame down so it still cooks, but it cooks low, right? Low and slow, so you won't burn it. So when it's time to like when the rush is over, you can get back to cutting it all the way up and getting it done. But like it time management and like what's your priority once the restaurant actually opens is like a huge like tricky thing for new chefs and culinarians that have to deal with. And trust me, I know. But if you made it this far into your shift, uh, and on the morning side as an A chef, you good. There's only one more thing you got to worry about, right? And the last thing you have to worry about is the call out. So you know how early I mentioned like um if you work in a single shift, somebody either gonna call out 2 hours into your shift or the last hour of your shift. So if you're working 10 to 4, somebody either gonna call out at 12 o'clock or they're gonna call out at 3 o'clock, right? So like typically once 3 o'clock hit, you kind of like, is somebody gonna call out today? And if it's payday or a Friday or a Saturday, it's a good possibility that somebody may call out on you, right? If somebody call out, right, and you working these one of these solo shifts, most definitely you're gonna be the first person that the chef, the sous chef, or the manager they're gonna come to ask you, do you mind staying to work tonight, right? And like I know people be having stuff to do. People have a hot date and they be having stuff to do typically, right? So a lot of times chefs were like, you know what, I can't stay. I got something else to do. I got other engagement. I can't stay. And that's right. But now that person that called out was the bad guy in the chef and the manager eyes. But now, like, even though like you're right and fair for saying like you don't want to stay, but now you're kind of like they hold a little bit of resentment towards you for like, okay, you really not gonna take one for the team and work it. Like this is really what you're gonna do. So sometimes it's just better to stay. And like typically, right, what chefs and managers would do, like, you know what, if you stay, then you won't have to close. Like you can leave it slow. You can be the first guy out. And this can be a very tricky situation for an AM chef too, right? Because they'll promise you, the guy who's taking one for the team, that you can leave at slow. Like you can leave at 8, 9:30 when it's slow. However, a lot of times they never check with the guy who's already scheduled to work slow, the 8 to slow. They never check with him and ask him, do he want to stay? Like they just, okay, he working a double, cool. So both of y'all are thinking that y'all gonna get off at slow, and like the reality of it is one of y'all have to stay. And like the guy who's scheduled to slow, he feel entitled, like I'm entitled to, get off at slow because I already was pre-scheduled to slow. And like you, as the guy who been there since the morning time, you like, man, I'm getting off at slow because I took one for the team and worked the double, right? So it's always tricky. The good rule of thumb that I always follow is like, okay, if the bosses tell you, like, can you work the double? You want to work whatever time or shift that the guy who called out worked. So if they 4 to 10:30, you're gonna have to work that. You're gonna have to close it down. But like that typically what happens. And that's kind of like the end of what like the AM chef go through. So we already talked about, managers cutting into your prep by being late. So you stuck outside in the cold or the heat, faulty equipment when you come in, the line can be empty. Or it can be booby traps on the line, shallow pans, wrong product on there, product that's bad that's on the line. Okay, cool. Then you got uh the fake prep list. The prep list can be fake. I didn't even talk about the other aspects of it, which is like, late deliveries that typically happen. Late deliveries, um, late deliveries, a bad squad in the morning, bad servers and just customers. So it's this disgruntled customers that just want to complain and like bitch. That's an aspect of like morning stuff as well. So let's actually get into uh the night chef. Hold it down. So Chef B, right? Chef B is the night chef or the night shift, right? So typically, right, with the night shift is you normally scheduled, 4 to close, 4 to slow. The first rule of thumb as a night chef is like regardless of what time you're scheduled, always be there an hour before you have to work, right? Because coming night chefs, they normally jump right in to the fray. There's a possibility that you can jump right into the fray on any given day. Like how the morning chefs can, do prep and then it get busy. With the night chefs, it can like we need you on the line, clock in immediately. So getting there an hour ahead of time is the most important thing to do, right? When you get there an hour, you can check with whoever worked the morning and be like, what did you do? What else is left to be done? And y'all can kind of coordinate, right? Also, you can make sure that they did what they said they did, because like sometimes people and chefs will lie, right? Cool. If it's the situation now, okay, when you get there at 3 o'clock and you schedule it at 4 and it's like it's still busy and they're like, we need you, clock in right now. You had the opportunity to get an hour of pay that you typically probably wouldn't have gotten. So it's always good to get there early. So the first thing the night chef want to do is check the line. Check the line, check the station to make sure you have everything you need to have. And if you don't have it, it's time to do something about it. Either go and prep it yourself or ask the AM chef, what are you doing? Like, are you prepping this for me or what's up? Sometimes they like, can you watch the line and I'll finish up all the line prep for you? Or can you finish up this prep for me and I'll take care of the line? Or you want to coordinate that. Make sure the line is straight because like if it get busy, you want to be prepared, right? That's typically what a chef has to do, especially to work the night. The second thing for a night chef is to check the squad, like the back of the house kitchen squad that you're working with, because that will dictate how hard or easy the night is going to be. It typically is 4 or 5 stations, 6 stations in the back. It can be the grill, saute, the fryer, cold side, and etc. Right? And not all chefs are created equal, right? Some chefs are really great chefs that they really good at the station that they work. Some chefs are still in training, right? So you can have 4 chefs that are good at every station, right? That's an A squad. That means that everybody is going to be on point, be on top of that game, and it's going to be straight. However, you could walk in and be the only A squad member on the whole kitchen crew, and everybody else is people that still learning and still training. So you can have a C on the grill, a C on saute, a C on the fryer, and you on cold side, right? So like you killing in terms of the apps, but in terms of the entrees and everything else, it's coming out super slow. So like that's an aspect of cooking that you gotta watch. So coming in, you gotta like, okay, check your line, see what you have, and then check and see like who the squad is gonna be that you're gonna be working with. Right. And then during this time, right, as a PM chef, you can kind of like move things around. Like if you have the possibility and the capabilities, you can kind of move things around. You know what? I'm gonna work this station, have him work that station. You can turn a bad squad into a good squad by just moving people positions around a little bit. So that's another aspect of working a night chef is like what your squad is. And then the next thing is pacing, right? New chefs and beginner chefs like to rush through the dinner rush. They like to like foot on the gas, full speed. They like to like do everything like fast, 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 fast. And it's like that is a way that you set yourself up for suicide, right? As a night chef. It's all about pacing. There's a certain pacing. Everybody cook at a certain pace. The chefs come in to take this is a pace. New chefs like to rush through it, right? And they tend to burn themselves out. When things get busy and there's a rush, um, once the rush over and you tend to run through the shift, you'll be exhausted. It's very far and few between, but sometimes a restaurant night, a kitchen night may have a double pop. It may be busy from 6:30 to 8, and then at 8:30 to like 9:30, it may pop again. So like if you don't pace yourself as a chef, when it pops again, okay, you're not going to be able to keep up with the team and you're going to go down. And like going down is going down is very interesting, right? So going down is like when your station gets slammed with so many checks and you can't keep up to the point that you're holding up the whole production, right? That means you're man down, you're going down. And typically, like, okay, a floater or another chef, if their station's not as busy, they'll come and help you. But the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to go down. And that's what I was mentioning as far as the pacing is concerned. You want to whatever the tempo is for whatever squad you have, that's the tempo that you want to keep, right? And if you rushing, like if you're moving faster than you're supposed to, okay, you're gonna wind up making someone else go down. And what say if you dragging, like you moving slower than what the rest of the team members are going, you're gonna wind up going down as well. So like pacing is super important. The squad that you have can dictate how busy or slow your night can be. It can be a busy night and you got a good squad and is an easy night, or you can have a slow night and a bad squad and it could be a very busy night. And this is not only on the back of the house tip, right? You can actually have a A squad in the kitchen, but have like a B squad or C squad in the front of the house. As far as servers, bartenders, bar backs, uh, managers, right? So you as a kitchen chef, a night kitchen chef, you can put food up consistently and super quick, but like your servers get jammed up and they can't run the food out, right? So it can slow down your production. Man, we working, we killing it. What y'all doing, right? They can start losing checks, dropping food, giving food to the wrong table. It can be crazy, right? So like that's another situation that like a night chef have to deal with, right? And it can happen any given night, any given event, but that's another thing, right? And now we typically at the end, typically like after the rush is over, cool, you survived it, you made it. Typically the rule of thumb is to restock the station, right? Then clean up and go home, right? And then it's morning time. So we back on a morning time tip again. So that is kind of like the life of a chef, right? And the duties of a chef. And like every day is different. You don't know what you don't know what today is going to bring. It could be faulty equipment, it can be a bad squad, it can be product is bad, it can be morale is low, it can be the Super Bowl Sunday. It differs, right? But that is the life of a chef. And like the only thing, the best teacher in those moments is experience. Like you have to experience the fake prep list, the going down on the line, the bad teams. You got to experience that and then know how to deal with it the next time. So that's one thing that constantly happens. So when people say, well, Twan, you're a chef, but don't you cook all the time? Like being a chef is to avert crises. Like that is like the primary job of the chef, to see the problems and the issues before they arise and like fix them before they happen. Like to see it before it comes up. And like that's kind of like why I don't cook and tell people I cook at home, right? Because it's like, man, y'all don't understand. Like every day when you step into the kitchen, it's like a war zone. It's not like Gordon Ramsay. Well, I'm not saying it's not like Gordon Ramsay, but it's not like TV when Gordon Ramsay preparing, great dishes in front of the camera and the lights and everybody laughing and clapping. It's like a war zone. And it's like everybody got to be strapped and prepared and ready for whatever the duties is to complete it. So like that's why you see a lot of like kitchen guys like very close knit. And then at the end of the night, if you made it through, like if you and your squad made it through, you're like, bro, we made it through. You dap each other up, you eat some fries, or you eat standing up over a trash can or something like that, or sitting down in a corner. You really don't really get a break, or you go outside and smoke a quick cigarette or something like that, and then you clean up and then you go home and you do it over again. So it's a very entertaining and interesting life, but it's like a battlefield. And that's kind of like the gift, but also the curse of working in the kitchen. So like for anybody, and I heard a lot of people talk about their experiences working in food service, and a lot of people like, man, I did food service for like 3 weeks and then I quit. I couldn't take it. And it's like, dang, like I see why you did it. Like it's super tough. And then the chefs that I know, like Chef Ed, Chef Lucius, Chef Fred, Chef Ian, Chef Chris, who, you know what? I did cooking for like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I want a desk job, or I want to, work for Comcast, or I want to drive trucks. I want to do something different. I understand what they go through because it's very tough. But that's the life of a chef, man. Hopefully y'all like this. This is the Just Sunday podcast with your host, Riley Escobar. And we are a podcast created to generate debate, change perspectives, and just give you all those timeless conversations that will leave you rushing back for more. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this little insight into the world of cooking. And like I said before, man, I'm sick of this shit, yo. This shit is not it, yo. I'm telling you, this cooking stuff is not it, yo. Got to do something different. Hopefully, this podcast stuff pops off for sure, and I could do this because, man, working that grill is just not it. Other than that, people, until next time, I'm out. How should I end this? And before I forget, thank you to everybody who's been listening to the Just Send It podcast. Shout out to Ash and Mega for coming through for episodes 1 and episodes 2, man. I really appreciate that. And we got more episodes to come. We still cooking for sure. So make sure y'all go to the RZ Media Production Instagram and follow us on there. We're going to be dropping some of the clips of the show on there, as well as some other graphics and knickknacks and everything on there. And of course, listen on iTunes, Spotify, and I'm gonna try to get the videos up on YouTube for sure. But also, rate, say something good about your boy, say something bad about your boy. It all helps. So without further ado, thank you for tuning into the show, and we're gonna keep it pushing. Like I said, just like that drunk text at 2 o'clock in the morning, just send it, people. Yo, cursed by this feeling to always strive, become that guy with no ceilings. Yeah. Twan Armstrong got scars that ain't healing, losing out on feeling for those who make way more woes that may kill them. I graduated, then I just shifted back to the kitchen. Damn. Restaurant life ain't living. I wanna be different. I wanna be heel toe shifting, fishtailing. Folks say that I'm tripping. I wanna see niggas working hard and chilling less. You stress enough in this life, you won't feel the stress. But people giving the pressure, thinking they get at best, and really think that they on the grind and they up next. I don't believe it, nah. I can't see it, nah. I'm on my grind every day, doubles on weekends, day-to-day meetings, phone calls. What's up, dog? I heard you spitting your bars, you going deep in. Yeah, I didn't plan this, I'm still damaged. Yeah. I gotta get it, I gotta spit it, I gotta go. Me and Mega got it down to the pick and roll. You can't cover us both, you gotta give up goals. I'm just playing a role. Yeah. Young man with an old soul. Yeah. Couple grand stories untold. I'm not one to showboat, but I probably get invited to the Pro Bowl. Yeah. Cursed by this feeling to always strive, become that guy with no ceiling. Yeah. Twan Armstrong got scars that ain't healing. Losing out on feeling for those who make way more woes that may kill them. I graduated, then I just shifted back to the kitchen. Restaurant life ain't living. I wanna be different. I wanna be heel toe shifting, fishtailing. Folks say that I'm tripping. Cursed by the past, harassed by many bad dealings. Thinking about it caused sorrow plus mad feelings. Yo, I'm past feeling, I had to give it up. You show a bitch some love, she think you tryna fuck. True. You be reliable, they entitled to cuff you up. True. Man's enough's enough. I be on other stuff, steady spitting bars, dreaming about whipping new cars, infusing my music with new sauce. Yeah, champagne healing, me and Mega tryna make $1 million, but 100 streams is appealing. Every song chord there's a feeling, a blessing or a curse, success, maybe stress or something worse. I gotta make this shit work, yeah. I gotta face it head first, yeah. I can't submit to the curse, the corpse or the cowards. Nah, I'm turning this shit to power. Twan, cursed by this feeling to always strive, become that guy with no ceilings. Twan Armstrong got scars that ain't healing, losing out on feeling for those who make way more woes that may kill them. I graduated, then I just shifted back to the kitchen. Restaurant life ain't living. I wanna be different. I wanna be heel toe shifting, fishtailing. Folks say that I'm tripping.